I wanted to talk about the future. I'm an ENTP, that's what we do. Now, this troubled me even when I was in the faith and a firm believer in Jehovah's Witness doctrine. And I was pioneering, I was a ministerial servant, I was doing everything right. But I noticed really, really bad future in the scenario in play was not looking good. I want you to go to a regional convention in English, in the United States or in Western Europe, and tell me what you see. Do you see a healthy body of people from all ages and walks of life? No. What is the mass majority? The mass majority is 60 and plus. Okay. And that generation are people that many of them believe that the end was coming in 75 or in 94 or any other date that people speculated around. And they did not plan for the future. How many witnesses do you know who racked up credit card debt buying a bunch of stuff for themselves because they thought the end was coming? I know many of them. Okay, many of them pioneers who really can't function, and many of them bought literally clothing and cars and other superficial things. And so you go into the assembly. My parents are 78. They get to the assembly very, very early so they can get the elderly seats. Because if not, they can't even get up and go to the bathroom because most conventions are pretty high. Now, granted, I've noticed a trend in many of the conventions in Jehovah's Witness faith is they're getting flat district convention places. So my parents, my family, they go to the Sacramento one, and it's a flat building, and so that is going to help all the old people in the faith. But when you go to Starbucks, you go to Panera Bread, you go to little sandwich places, and you see Jehovah's Witnesses on break, who's there? At the meeting. What's the age range usually? Old people, really young people, maybe young mothers, things like that. Kind of missing that whole middle age area, that whole dynamic is gone. And then the young people they have with them, they're like pioneers, and you see them, they're usually like fat and obese and look retarded. Um, with serious arrested development, you know, that's the norm in Jehovah's Witness faith now. I mean, I knew at least three elders that still lived at home while being an elder, living at home. These are supposed to be these are supposed to be grown, responsible men, and they can't even provide for their own family. And it's not like they had a large family or anything. It was just like either them by themselves or them and their wife. And the amount of arrested development in the JW faith is astounding. And so what I see in the future isn't good. I don't see them being able to afford much longer what they have to do. And you see them selling off Kingdom Halls left and right while there's still value in them. Why? Because the future is going to be all digital. That's why they're investing so much in this studio, the 6-year studio plan, because they understand probably within 6 years, you know, they're not going to have enough elders. They're not going to have enough ministerial servants to run a Kingdom Hall. And so they will be watching videos from the branch and homes and the small towns. And Kingdom Halls will be things that are only in major cities, or I should say real cities of probably 50,000 or more people or 100,000 or more people. And these smaller congregations that are in towns of like 2,500, 25,000 people, that'll be a thing of the past. I mean, they may commute for social reasons and obviously gather in assemblies and things like that. But I think they plan on having a donations in a digital form, and you can just watch the meetings that's tied in to Kingdom Hall or even to New York itself, and you can watch it on your own internet, and it'll be arranged in that way. Uh, and so, yeah, right now the Jehovah's Witnesses I grew up with in the 80s and the 90s, that doesn't exist anymore. Um, the reason why I was making this, and I'm going to put the link in my description, about 50% of millennials leaving work or quitting their job over mental health reasons, or 75 of Gen Zers doing the same thing, leaving and quitting work over mental health issues. So you look at the people in the Kingdom Hall congregations who are ages 15 through 30, and tell me how many of them have anxiety disorders. How many of them suffer depression? Okay. And so if you're watching this trend and they're quitting their jobs, how many people are going to quit going to meetings out of mental health reasons? I mean, now it's pretty much excusable. People are like, oh, well, he's crazy, and so it's okay for him to go to meetings. That's kind of an excusable thing now. Um, you look at Jehovah's Witnesses themselves, and the majority of them are gray haired. They're older, not with proper retirement, not with any money, and they need people to take care of them. Now, myself, I was ministerial servant and pioneer. I had no intentions of staying in English and taking care of old people. That was not my vocation in life when I was a witness. I took off and went to Mexico, or I went to Peru, or I went to Spanish in Tennessee even. And in Spanish and Tennessee, for the most part, we didn't have any old people, maybe one or two, which is a lot more doable versus the English halls, which had 30, 40, 50 people that needed regular care in their lives. And then the elders themselves, for the most part, were missing that whole age gap of age 40 to 50. Most of them were 60 plus. You saw elders on stage. I remember this one time I went to a Granville congregation, and the Watchtower conductor was just absolutely batshit crazy and just like in outer space. I had no idea what he was talking about. And I was like, this would be embarrassing. I couldn't imagine if I actually had somebody, I was knocked on their door and I brought them to the Kingdom Hall and made them watch that. This guy needs to be in a chair, and you say it's sad. Why isn't there like a 40-year-old elder conducting the Watchtower? Why is this crazy old man who's 80, who keeps forgetting everything, repeating himself over and over again? Uh, it's very disheartening. And so you'll see, I think, a more and more of an exodus right now because it's literally not sustainable. The growth is out of the country. Um, there's no growth. There's nothing really to look forward to. And with the current 1914 doctrine, I don't think they can last past 2034. And so, yeah, so the future seems bleak. You're going to see a lot of more mental health issues, things like that. People are going to be leaving over that. And now, granted, I don't think they're ever going to be gone forever. I mean, they literally have to pack up and sell everything and run away. Now, I don't adhere to the theory that the governing body just making stuff up and doesn't believe in anything what they say. I firmly believe that they believe what they preach, and they do think they talk to God, and they do believe that the end is near. Because the evidence presented shows that, because they didn't plan for all this kind of stuff, and it looks like they're just really, really grasping at straws now and just desperately in a manic trying to fix problems with pedophilia, trying to fix problems with doctrine, trying to fix problems here because they didn't think this was going to happen. And now everything's catching up to them. They got lawsuits left and right, and everything's falling apart like a house of cards. And I think if they were 100% shysters, am I forgiving what they do? No, that's not what I'm getting at. But I do believe they smoke their own dope, and the evidence shows that. And so, no, the scenario for witnesses is bleak. It's dark. I don't see a good future. You can tell that there's a lot of arrested development. The people in the faith sticking around usually are there because they have no other choice and they don't want to lose their families, because they have no work friends because they don't work. They're scared because they're mentally unhealthy. They have no money. And it is what it is. And so that's my thoughts of the witness future.